didn't really know what I should be doing in the gym. I didn't really know much about it. And so one day, I was getting ready for work, and I went and put my pants on, and guess what? They wouldn't button. And at that moment, that's when I decided enough was enough. I had enough of my excuses. I decided I needed to make a change. I got my ass into the gym. I didn't care. I was looking at the guy next to me. I was just doing what he's doing. Look at the big guy. I didn't need all the right answers. I just knew that I needed to do something, right? So I got in there. I made the change. I ended up losing my 25 pounds of body fat. I dropped my sorry ass excuses, and I made the change. I met my girlfriend, she's my wife now. And I finally met a girl, made her my wife, and that's when I created MyBo Fitness. Okay? So you guys already know that in order to do something, in order to chase your dreams, you got to do something different, right? You heard Carlos and Stand Up and See the Sameness. You got to be doing what other people can't do. So we're going to do something a little bit different right now. You guys we just got back from a break. You guys have been sitting all day. Your back might hurt. Your butt probably hurts. So everybody stand up. Stand up. Please stand up. There we go. We're going to do a little exercise here. We're going to do a couple of stretches. We're going to stretch a little bit. We're going to get you guys feeling good. You do a little warm-up. Then we're going to do a little So the first thing we're going to do is just a nice stretch. Just to make yourself some room. Give yourself some room and spread out a little bit. Okay, there we go. So first thing I want you guys to do is put your hands together. Okay, open your hand. There you go. Hold that position. Hold this for about 30 seconds or so. Really open up the body. There you go. I want you guys to be connected with your breath the entire time, okay? Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. There you go. Okay, make sure those hands are pointed back. Good. From here, you're going to tilt your head to the side. Up this way. Take a big breath in and look down to the other side. Take a big breath out. Here we go. Different. Good. Good. A few more times. Good. Now you're going to rest your head on your other shoulder and do the exact opposite. Keep those hands up. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. Inhale up. Exhale down. Excellent. One more time. Good. Go ahead and relax your arms. Just bend your shoulders like you work a little bit after that one. Okay, next. Next, we're going to put our feet together, place your hands together, take them straight out, go right up over your head. You're going to look at your hands. Go ahead and look at your hands. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds, all right? Go ahead. There you go. Push them up. Think about pushing your hands up and your shoulders down. There you go. Remember, nice deep breaths. Really be connected with your breathing. There you go. Good. Almost there. Keep on breathing. Enjoy the stretch. You might feel this stretching out your middle back a little bit. Good, good, good. And time. Very good job, guys. Very good, very good. Just with those two stretches, you've already get a little bit of protection to the side of that. Wow. Okay, next thing we're going to do is one of my favorites. It's called the robot stretch. Okay? So everybody's going to stand nice and tall. You're going to let your whole body power down to the side. There you go. And let the weight of your arm just pull you around. And at the bottom, just let your arms angle. And just really open up that lower back. And then stand up to the other side. Very good. And then you're going to go right back down the other way. Did it again. Very good. Let's do this 5 times. So down.
Carlos doesn't know that.
Carlos did it this morning. You know class. And back down this way. Very good. One last time. Down this way. Back down this way. Very, very good, everybody. Next, you're going to put your feet nice and wide. Okay? Now, if anybody has any back problems, I want you to start these nice and slow and work your way up to the bigger circles, okay? So little circles. There you go. Make sure your feet are nice and wide. There we go. Yeah, kind of like the hula dance. There you go. Good. Get those hips moving. Get those hips nice and loose. We're about to do some fun and exciting stuff. Hope everyone's getting nice and warmed up. Yeah. You better open up the doors in here. There needs some AC going on. Good. Everybody's looking good. And go ahead and switch directions. Switch directions. You always got to make sure you get both sides. There you go. Make sure you have a big smile on your face too. It makes it, you burn more calories when you're smiling. Science. Google it. Good. There we go. Excellent. Now, I'm going to need everybody to partner up. Everybody pick a partner. Somebody you think you can beat in the competition. We're going to do a little competition right now. Yeah, there we go. Everybody partner up. Good. Does everybody have a partner? Good. Raise your hand if you don't have a partner. Here, over here. There we go. Right back there. Right down here in the middle, we need somebody. Alright. Here's the deal, guys. Here's what we got. We're going to do 3 one-minute little drills. They're all going to be fun. And at the end of these 3 rounds, whoever wins each round, whoever wins at the end, owes your partner a massage. Okay? So a little bit of motivation to get you guys moving, okay? Now, like I said, it's just going to be for 1 minute. Each little exercise is just going to be for 1 minute, okay? And whoever does, for the first round, we're just going to do some body weight squats, all right? Now, if you're in heels, you get for every 1 squat you do, you get 1.5, okay? You get a little advantage, okay? All right, everybody ready?
Can I borrow some of these heels?
Everybody ready? Now, just body weight squats. As far down as you can go and come back up, all right? Ready, go. Make sure you count your reps. Count your reps. Everybody count your reps. Good. Make sure you're breathing. Don't forget to breathe. That's one of the most biggest problems I see in my clients. Everybody forgets to breathe. Inhale on the way down. Exhale on the way up. Come on. Keep it going. Come on. Feel the body. Feel the Good. Competition, before we get started, I want you to look at your partner and say, I own you! I own you! You're not stronger than that, I own you! Okay, what we're going to do is called an inchworm, okay? Make sure you give yourself some room, spread out a little bit. We don't want to see any faces and any butts or anything like that. Come on, give yourself some room. What we're going to do is you're going to start by putting your hands right down on the ground, right in front of your feet, like so. You're going to walk out. Walk back up and stand up, okay? Right now the record in 1 minute is 13 seconds. 13 reps, that's the record. Who thinks they can beat the record? 13 reps. Alright? Here we go. Everybody ready? Come on, give yourself some room and go. Come on. Who can do the 13 reps? Good. And back up. Inhale on the way down. Good. Exhale on the way up. Make sure you're breathing. Come on. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. 13 reps is the record. Who's going to be it? 6. Now this is for all the massages, okay? Here we go. Everybody stand right in front of their chair. Okay, everybody stand back up. One more thing. It's just 30 seconds. 30 more seconds. Okay? What we're gonna do is everybody close your eyes, put a big fat smile on your face, and what we're gonna do is just jog in place for 30 seconds, okay? And when you think 30 seconds is up, you sit down, all right? And if you sit down before your partner, then that's who gets the massage. All right, ready? And go. Go. There you go. Come on, keep those eyes closed. Sit down when you think 30 seconds is up. Who's counting? Who's counting in their head? Good. 30 seconds. Yep, 30 seconds. You sit down when you think your 30 seconds is up. Come on, come on, come on. Don't really sit down when you think your 30 seconds is up. Sit down when you think your 30 seconds is up.
Go get the mic.
Hello? Oh, there we are. Sorry. I have so much more I wish I could share with you guys, but unfortunately...
I want to do an interview with you too.
Text me on my personal cell phone.
Next break.
I have so much for you guys on the other side, okay? I also have a special gift for everybody here. If anybody is ready to take their health back and use fitness as the foundation to push their performance when it matters most outside of their everyday lives, I have a special gift. It's going to be the first 5 days will be on me. Come on down and see why our clients love our step-by-step system inside of Michael Fitness. Once again, I'm Michael Garza. Hope everybody has a great day. Thank you. My phone number, you ready? 619-206-2891. Just text your name and I rock, baby, to my phone, and you'll get those 5 days. Thank you, everybody.
Give a round of applause. Awesome. Okay, so next up is the legend. This man makes vulnerability sexy all over again. Okay? A couple years ago, you would have found him, God knows what you would have seen. Okay? Using his cell phone, using Instagram, and using his story, he has transformed himself into somebody whom we would perceive as depressed, angry, unsure of who he is, into the #1 storyteller that everybody has loved to know. And that is Marshall Gillen. Everyone, round of applause.
How are we doing today, everybody? Okay. Who here is old enough to know that that's the Chicago Bulls theme song? Okay, well, half and half. All right, so I haven't dated myself quite yet. For those of you who here already knows who I am? Oh shit, it's on social media. You guys, first off, let's give a big round of applause to Sammy for getting this whole thing together. And I honestly mean this, you guys. I want you guys to give yourselves a big round of applause right now, too. And here's why. You guys gotta understand. It's a Saturday afternoon, right? And you guys are here right now, right? This is like the action that the 1% takes. Because most of the people out there today, they would, if you told them that you were coming here to spend the whole day, they'd be like, that's crazy. You're gonna waste a whole Saturday sitting in a room? You're like, yeah, right? And we're here because we are taking the action of the 1%. We're here to learn, we're here to grow, because we know that power of association is everything. And really what I want to talk about today is storytelling. How many of you feel like you have a story to tell? Yeah? How many of you feel like maybe that story that you want to tell is going to be hard to relate to your business. Any of you guys feel like maybe vulnerability might not be the best thing for business? So I want to share some stories with you guys today. Is that cool? All right. And the last question I have to ask you guys is, for those of you, most of you guys know me, but you know I'm a giant crybaby. So is it okay if I'm vulnerable with you guys? Do I have permission to be vulnerable? And really, when I think about storytelling, we all have stories. You have a story, and you have a story, and you, and we all have stories, right? And when I think about storytelling in particular, what I think about is connecting. Because that's what we're really all here to do, is to connect. I believe that in this time and on this earth that we all have a special talent. And I believe that what we're on a quest to do is find that talent so we can go out into the world and use it to make it a better place. And I believe that we can make the world a better place through storytelling and vulnerability. Now, when I think about storytelling, I think way back in the day. I mean, they've been telling stories since way before time, right? 27,000 years ago, there are cavemen making freaking campfires, and they'd come on after the long day, and they would gather around the campfire, and what would they do? Tell stories, right? They would tell stories about the hunt. They would tell stories about upgrading to that newer, bigger cave. They would tell stories about that one girl that they knocked over the head and took back to their cave, right? And they would all be all super happy, and that was how it's always been, storytelling. Now we fast forward to today, and it's not much different, right? You think of things like reality TV. Why is that garbage TV so freaking popular? Why do we get hooked on it so much? Motion. Storytelling, right? It's storytelling. And this is what I want you guys, the first thing I want you guys to write down. A good story is relatable. A good story is what? Relatable. A good story is relatable. And when I think about storytelling specifically for business, I think about people talking about all the success they have. Right? How many of you guys get on social media and you guys see people talking about cars and money and crushing it with clients, right? How often do we see people get up and tell stories about their failures? How many of you have failed here before? Yeah. So I want to tell you guys my story, but I want you guys to remember something as I tell this story, okay? This is my story, but it's not a story about me. It's a story about you. Because what you guys have got to understand is that the details of our story are all different, but at the end of the day, the emotions that are created from the details that happen in our life are all the same. So if I have a hard day and at the end of the day I feel depressed, and Lynn has a hard day and she feels depressed at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how we got there. At the end of the day, we both still feel depressed. Now this is what I discovered, because for those of you who know my story, or for those of you who don't, I grew up in a farm in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And my parents were divorced when I was 2, because my dad was an alcoholic who used to beat the hell out of my mom. And I'll never forget the day that my dad left. I was standing there and he was saying to my mom, and they were yelling back and forth, and he was leaving. And I just remember I was just crying as a little boy. And I didn't know what was going on, but I could feel the energy. And I remember thinking, man, I just want some juice. Kind of funny, right? It's what I remember as my dad was literally walking out of my life. I remember just wanting some juice. Now, that was the first and earliest memory I have of my dad, is him leaving. 2 years later, my mom got remarried, and my stepfather moved us out to a farm. And on this farm, I grew up as a typical Midwesterner, very hard-nosed, taught not to cry, taught to act like a man. I can't run and tell my mom that my stepdad's an asshole, because you don't do that where I come from. How many of you guys grew up with a limitation or a challenge or a mess that has affected you in your adult life? Me too. And for me, where I grew up, they don't teach you that you can be anything. They don't tell you, go for your dreams. They don't say, you can do it. No, they tell you, that's never going to work. You're crazy. Who do you think you are? Those are things I grew up thinking. So when we fast forward to my adult life, I had been programmed to think that I was no good. You see, my stepdad used to tell me every single day how worthless I was. Every single day he would tell me how unobservant I was, how ungrateful I was. For my whole entire life, that's what I heard. Have any of you guys ever been told stories like this before by anybody you know and love? Yeah. And how many of you have carried that into business before, where you're ready to launch your business as an entrepreneur, you're ready to make more money, you're ready to have more impact, be more influential, but there's that little voice inside of you that's telling you whatever it was that you used to hear. You see, I started my entrepreneur journey 6 years ago. I'm only 34. I know I don't look that old. But I started my journey 6 years ago. And the first 4 years of my life, or the first 4 years of my entrepreneur life, were terrible. It was a constant struggle to figure out if I was worth it, to figure out if I could really do it. And no matter how much I did or how much success I had, I would always tell myself, you're never going to make it. You're worthless. You're ungrateful. You can't make this work. I don't actually know how I'm even standing in this room today. For all intents and purposes, I probably shouldn't be here. You see, I got into, I got an actual full academic ride to go to college, and while I was there, I just really became addicted. Became addicted to alcohol, became addicted to doing coke multiple times a day, became addicted to taking prescription pills, and my life was one giant mask. Every day I tell you, what's up, yeah, how's it going? And then I'd go home, pop some pills, drink some booze, and forget my problems. How many of you here have ever thought about hurting yourselves? It's a pretty vulnerable question. And this is the thing about storytelling that I found, is that when we get into entrepreneurship, it seems like a lot of things that we want to talk about are the successes that we have, how I can make you more money, how I can get you more clients, how your brand can be the best. I've never been interested in any of that. And I'll tell you why. Because my entire life, all I've ever wanted to do was connect. I wanted my dad to just show up to one of my football games, to prom when I won king, to homecoming when I won king. Never there. I wanted my stepdad just one time in my life to say he was proud of me. Still hasn't happened. So as I start getting into entrepreneurship and start struggling and start trying to figure out how to make money, nothing ever worked. Have you guys tried stuff before in the past and in entrepreneurship it just wouldn't work? Frustrating, isn't it? So one day I was on my rope's end. And I've been trying and using the same thing over and over. All the free webinars, all the lead magnets, hacking this, hacking that. I think I've hacked Jesse's thing back in the day. The 90th raving fans, I hacked that back in the day. It was excellent, it's awesome. I haven't 100,000 fans yet, but I'm working on it. And really what I started to discover is that there's not enough vulnerability, there's not enough honesty, there's too much bullshit, there's too much fluff in entrepreneurship. So I started to ask myself, I said, well, if I want to tell stories and I want to change lives, how do I do that? You model success. You model the things that are working. And when I think about storytelling, I think about the cavemen 27,000 years ago, like I was just saying that we're telling stories. I thought, well, how do I do that? Well, the first is, where do I tell my story? So I thought about the cavemen. Where do they tell their stories? Well, they told it around a campfire. Okay. Well, I took a look at the market, and I said, wow, everybody has these little cell phones. In their house, in their hand, in their pocket. Actually, I got two of them in my pocket, right? And what I realized is this. I realized that in 2019, that cell phone is a digital campfire. That digital campfire goes everywhere. Now, what have we always done around campfires? We tell stories. So when I started to say next, I go, okay, well, how can I tell a story that's relatable, that can draw an emotion that makes me the same as Linda without talking about the statistics, without talking about the bullet points, without talking about how you do it. I just want to make myself relatable to you. Because if you've ever gone through something, and I've gone through something, and I can build that relation, and we know that we've both been forged by fire and risen like phoenixes out of that, I know that she'll trust me, she'll make an emotional investment in me that'll never end. Do you guys have anybody in your life that has caused you to make an emotional investment? Yeah. Who? Anybody in particular? Numerous people. And what I looked at is I said, okay, well, if everybody has a digital campfire and I want to be relatable, how do I stand out? How do I truly make an impact? Because remember, I'm not here to make money, I'm here to make impact. And because of that, money becomes a byproduct. 2 years ago, I was bartending in a bar right over here, just down the street. I remember my entire life, I thought, this is my life, I'll never change. It'll never happen, there's no hope for me. One day, I just got fed up. 2 years ago, I got fed up with that life. I got fed up with bartending, I got fed up with feeling like crap, I got fed up with all of the negative stuff, and I started to really think, how can I make this impact? How can I make myself relatable? So I just decided to get vulnerable. You see, when I was 23, I'd had enough. When I was 23, for most of you know the story, I was in an apartment right over here in San Diego, not too far away, Claremont. And that was the day that I decided that I couldn't take it anymore. I decided my dad was right, I decided that my stepdad was right. All the friends who always said, Marshall, what flavor of the week is it this week? I decided they were right. And I said, you know what, I don't want to live anymore. And at the age of 23, took a bunch of pills, a bunch of drugs, and I drank a bunch of booze, and I tried to kill myself. Now, that's not a really great story. Kind of a sad story. But what I realized was, that's going to make people sad if I tell that story, so I probably shouldn't. So I hid it, like most of us do. I hid that story inside of me, and I tried to go on with my life. I tried to pretend like those bad things didn't happen, except they ate at me every single day. And what I discovered was, if I use this digital campfire to tell my story, but if I don't talk about the things that are popular, but rather the things that are unpopular, that I would start to stand out and make more of a connection because people could relate to me. So that's what I did. I stood up. I always say, those who know my content, in a world where everybody's sitting down, looking around for one person to stand up and say, and show their message, just be the leader who stands up and goes, okay, I'll go first. This is what I did, right? And with vulnerability and storytelling, that's exactly what I did. 2 years ago, I was working at a bar, hating my life, using all the time, waiting to die, and I just decided enough was enough. Who here is ready to make a decision to actually have more and be more than you've been? That's why we're all here today. And what I was thinking about when I did this is I said, okay, social media, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think that if I just stand up and start telling my story, that I'm going to start to attract the people to me who can help me. So that's what I did. I pulled out my phone and I went live. My name is Marshall Gillen. This is my journey to becoming a highly paid public speaker. I don't know if it'll work. I might fall flat on my face. I don't think I will, but I welcome you to join my journey. And over the last 2 years, I've built something incredibly powerful. You see, in 2017, I accidentally built a personal brand by sharing my vulnerable stories. And I went and started at events just like this, speaking for free. And I stood in rooms just like this, and I talked about the time I tried to kill myself. I talked about the best friend who called me, who needed my help, who I didn't answer because I was too messed up, who then killed himself a month later. And it was probably the worst day of my life. So I just said, okay, I'm going to tell the stories that nobody wants to hear. I'm going to tell the stories that everybody's too scared to tell. This might not work. I might have to go back to Illinois. But I started to tell those stories in 2017, and my entire life changed. In 2018, I built a 6-figure speaking business on purpose. Now in 2019, I'm on a mission to save 1 billion lives, that save 1 billion lives with the power of storytelling and vulnerability. That's a pretty big, bold, audacious goal. Who the hell am I to even say that word, 1 billion? 1 billion lives. I think that I'm going to be able to accomplish that by standing in rooms just like this, planting the seed in you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and getting you guys together to go out and start telling your story, using social media and the mobile phone. You gotta understand that when you make a video, when you make a post, when you create that space and become vulnerable, it allows the old you to step into that area and find the greatness, to believe in themselves again. Everybody's all worried about their ideal client, what their message is. It's super, super simple. You only have to worry about saving yourself. Because if you wake up every single day and you tell yourselves the stories in your head that are powerful, that rewire you, that save you every day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to save you from last year.
Right.
You're going to save you from 5 years ago. You're going to save you from 10 years ago. What would it be worth to you 10 years ago to have you today show up and share your story and go, you know what? It's going to be all right. You're going to make it. How many of you are telling stories on social media right now? Okay. How many of you are making at least $10,000 a month using social media and telling stories? Not quite there yet. I like it, some of them. Some of us leaders here, right? A lot of you guys are all of us here are leaders. So my challenge to you in 2019 is how can you use social media and how can you use the social media and the mobile phone and storytelling to truly create a movement? Because nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So for me, I've taken zero experience, zero network, zero money. In 2 years, I built multi-6-figure business just from my mobile phone and storytelling. I don't even know how to do business. I tell people really legitimately, like, I don't even know my KPIs, I don't know my numbers. If there's somebody here that can help me, amazing. But I've been able to completely transform my life, transform other people's lives, just by getting up and being the guy who goes, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here to learn. So what I want to challenge you guys with today And as we go forward in 2019 and beyond, I want to challenge you guys to not just tell the stories that are amazing, not just to tell the stories that are glamorous, and not just to tell the stories about making money. I want you guys to tell the stories that make you relatable. I want you guys to talk about the hard times. You see, my coach, Nick Unsworth from Life on Fire, he taught me that my mess is my message. My mess is my message. You see, I used to think that my attempted suicide, I used to think that my mean stepdad, I used to think all those, my losing my best friend, I used to think that was a mess that I had to carry around, that used to weigh me down, that used to make me hate my life, that made me live so recklessly. But as soon as I started to tell that story, like Jay-Z says, right? Revealing is healing. And the more I tell that story, the more healing I have. So what I want to challenge you guys, especially if you're not using social media to tell your story yet, is I want you guys to understand that the TV, that the mobile phone, like Gary Vee says, is a TV, right? It's a digital campfire. So how can we use that digital campfire? How can we use that story? How can we use social media to create an impact? And literally all I've done over the last 2 years is make a live video every day, sharing my story, learning my craft, getting better, and then showing up in rooms just like this and sharing those details that most people don't want to hear. Now I could go on and on and on about my story. However, like literally most of you guys have seen me talk like numerous times. So how much time do I have left? 5 minutes. So what I want to do the last 5 minutes is I can sit here and tell sob stories that most of you guys already know and have already heard, but I really want to answer some questions as it pertains to using live video, social media, or story time to grow your business. Does anybody have any questions specifically as it pertains to your business, how you can use social media or live video? Yeah, back there.
How long do you recommend a live video to be? Like,
Yeah.
what's the ideal time?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So she asked, how long do I recommend a live video be? All right? I'm not going to tell you guys how long to do it. There's not one answer, right? The average watch time on Facebook is 6 seconds. 6 seconds. That's not very good, right? But what you need to do is it's about story time. So how long does it take you to tell your story? What is that emotion? What is it you're trying to get out to your audience? Because there's no right or wrong to how long a live video should be. It comes from what is that thought in your head and what are you willing to share? What is on your heart? What impact do you need to make? Right? Because when I go to make a story online, when I go to tell a story on stage, I gotta think about what is the emotion I want to create. See, storytelling means you start the story at the end. Before you guys start a story, you gotta ask yourself what emotion do you want to elicit from your audience. And then you think of the story in your head, what is the time in my life that there's a story where I had that emotion? Boom, there's your story. How long does it take to tell it? And then make that movement, that transformation in your audience so they can understand how to get from where you are or where they are to where you're at. Okay? So a good thing, I mean, I have a hard time talking for less than like 5 minutes. So my videos are usually like 20 minutes long. But anywhere from like 3:20, I mean, Ty Lopez goes for like 4 hours. I think Linda said she tested it once and they cut you off at the 4-hour mark. Yeah.
Are you on YouTube?
I am on YouTube.
Yeah, and so I guess the next question would be, I've been thinking about getting myself on YouTube. When I'm thinking about it, I'm going to do it. I just don't know necessarily where to start. Because for me, I think my life's pretty interesting, but like...
What's the hardest, so this is a good question, doesn't know where to start. So if you guys don't know where to start talking, if you guys don't know what to start talking about, I'm gonna tell you really super easy. Whatever you're stuck on now is what you start talking about. Whatever you're stuck on in your life and your business right now is what you talk about. So, hey, make a video about that. Hey, guess what guys? I want to start a YouTube channel and I know I need to, but I'm just nervous. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how to do that long tail keywords, right? I had a 9-figure earner at a real estate investment or a conference I was at about 6 months ago, and he had to give this pitch that he didn't know how to do. 9-figure earner, right? Comes up with little Marshall Dillon. Mr. Been telling stories for 2 years on social media, right? I'm like, really? He's like, well, I'm so nervous, man. I don't know how to make that transition on stage. I said, bro, say that. Tell them that you're nervous and you don't know how to make that transition on stage, and you don't end up happening. You end up closing a ton of money because it's more relatable for people who are lost, who are struggling, who are going through something, for me to stand up here and go be vulnerable and go, I don't know all the answers, than it is for me to posture and act like I'm the best, the best, the best. What makes me the best is that I'm the type of leader that's willing to stand up and be vulnerable. What makes me the best is I'm the type of guy who's willing to stand up and share the things that are not the best. Because that's what's going to make movement. When you start to tell stories and use social media in a way that's going to transform your audience and allow them to expand their mind and give them permission and say, it's okay that you tell those stories, it's okay to be vulnerable, that's what's going to make a big impact in your life. So I have 1 minute left, and if you guys have any questions at all about storytelling or using social media, I would love to chat with you more. If you guys want to know more about how I've been able to build my business around public speaking, storytelling, and social media, I've actually created a free resource. Would it be valuable to you guys if I gave that to you? Yeah? So I'm going to give you a website, and you guys write it down. It's called the Top Paid Speaker Workshop. Top Paid Speaker Workshop. And in that workshop, what I've done is I've put together everything that I think that is super valuable for you to understand when it comes to storytelling, public speaking, and using social media. You guys go there, toppaidspeakerworkshop.com. Go through the content. When you're done with it, I want you to reach out and I want you to connect with me because I want to offer you some time to get on a call and connect with you guys because I want to know all of your stories. All right? My name is Marshall Gillen, transformational storyteller, and it was such a pleasure and honor to be here today, guys.
Thank you so much, guys, again for being here. I appreciate every one of you, and thank you so much for spending your Saturday here. And I just want to say something. The reason why I created this event so we all create a community. We could create a group that supports each other. So all the sponsors that we have here, everyone that's attending, let's exchange information, see how we can help and support each other. We have personal trainers, we have credit card providers, we have NLP trainers, we have real estate training, we have photographers, videographers, we have a media team. So let's all connect together and see how we can help and support each other. So that is the main reason why I created this event, to actually create a community. And I want to introduce one person that's going to be speaking next since I'm here, and it's Mr. Eric Swanson. I want to tell you a small story, how I met this guy. When I met him, it was at a conference here at the San Diego Convention Center, and they asked him, what do you do? He said, I'm taking the rest of the year off, and this was in June. I was like, what do you mean? He said, my goal is to double my income every year, and once I do that, I take the rest of the year off. My team will still be working, but I'll be taking the rest of the year off. So I said, I want to have you on one of my stages, and that's the reason why he's speaking here today. So give it up to Mr. Eric Swanson.
All right.
Yeah, what's up? I brought a bag of goodies. Like on that part.
Yeah, just one thing. So Eric is having something really special, really exclusive for this event. So don't go live on Facebook, Instagram, or anything.
Yeah,
So
no live.